Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So I'm inspired to do this video, and I love children. And sometimes when I'm talking to a child and I'm saying something like, you know how it is when you talk to kids, you gotta like downplay something or not give them the full scope because they're just babies, and you'll be dealing with something super complicated and they'll just give you the perfect little solution. I used to work like at a daycare for a long time, and sometimes like when I was like dealing with something, and I'll give them like a vague response on like how I feel, this little baby will say something so profound and so wow, like, oh my God, I just get it, that adults could never grasp or never could. It's kind of like meditation. When you're trying to meditate, you have to let go of certain thoughts, but a lot of times, even with me, sometimes when I meditate, it's like the opposite. A whole bunch of thoughts just start coming in at once. And I mentioned this before in another video. When we're having these conversations, it's like there's 10 tabs up at once, and someone can't say one thing without someone saying, oh, da, 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 and trying to like, downplay someone else's talking point when two things can be true at once. And I believe in divine contradiction, so that everything's not meant to make sense, you know? Some things, that's just the way the world is. So we were having a conversation about Michael Jackson, which is so funny because everyone's talking about like skin bleaching in this community lately. And I'm a huge Michael Jackson fan. Aside from all those like allegations and stuff, I wasn't there. I don't know if it happened or not, but I like to believe that it didn't. And just going off those bases, I wanted to talk about Michael Jackson's career. And this video was kind of inspired by my little baby cousin who I just got off the phone with. He's been into Michael Jackson lately. He can't be any more than like maybe 8 or 9. Very intelligent though. Very, very intelligent for a child. And this is going to be inspired by Ashira 7, but more of her woo-woo topics, her spiritual topics, not just her level up content. But basically, if you know anything about Ashira and you actually watch her videos, not just her TikToks, you've sat through hours of her content, you would know that she's a huge, probably much bigger than me actually, Michael Jackson fan. And the way she talks about like his legacy and like spiritually and what that had to do with race, it's I'm going to put my own spin on it, so some of this isn't what she said verbatim, but the information she gave us, I was allowed to come to my own conclusion with that information. But long story short, I was on the phone with my little cousin, and we're talking about Michael, and randomly he says, I don't know why people say he wasn't black when you can clearly see in the Jackson 5 he was black. And I go, oh, well, sweetheart, people feel like because he had black skin and a bigger nose and now he has white skin and a smaller nose that he hates himself. And I asked him, like, well, how do you feel about that? Because usually when I like to do like psychology, so when children are into anything, I take a child's adolescence very seriously. I feel like before like puberty, you kind of have to like cultivate proper environments for children so that they can have their needs and their questions met. I feel like when you're a child and you don't have your answers met, you can try to find those answers in the wrong places. Or if you have too much of your answers met, you become like a sheep and you can't make your own opinion. So I take every question very seriously, and whatever a child chooses to share with me, I wonder why. And I don't know, that's just how I am. So I asked him, well, how do you feel about that? And he says, in reference to Michael, he just wanted to be a normal guy. Now, I had to touch that for a second, as an adult, and think, oh my God, wow, how profound is that? And he said he just wanted to be a normal guy. And I said, oh, well, honey, what do you mean by that? And he goes, well, people would make fun of him, and he didn't want, basically, that to hold him back. I'm paraphrasing here. But basically, he said he just wanted to be a normal guy. And it reminded me of this scene in the movie Precious. If you guys have seen the entire movie, it reminds me in the scene of the movie Precious, where Precious is having these fantasies and these daydreams of what the world could be like around her. If you know anything about her relationship with her mother in this film, it's a very negative one, a very toxic one. And in her fantasies, her mother is kind to her and cooks for her. Kind of like that scene in Coraline with the other mother, but just less eerie. But yeah, in one of these, now in most of her fantasies, everything is the same except for the people around her, meaning she wants people to perceive her differently, but still her, right? later on in the movie, the way she perceives herself through a mirror is as a white woman. Now, at first glance, you can see this as, oh, she is, that's how she is, that's how she wants to be like, okay, if that's as far as your brain goes, cool. Click off the video. But when you dig a little deeper, this scene is always, I've always found this scene so interesting. I'm a writer, and I like to write characters and stuff. And when I make a character, I try to like flesh them out as much as possible, give them backstories, specific features and stuff like that. And whenever I'm reading books, sometimes people will make like a movie or about the book and stuff. They did this with Hunger Games. If you remember the character Rue, you can look up this other YouTuber's video. The video is called The Day Rue Became Black, and how people were saying so much racist shit about, I think it's Amanda, whatever her name is, you know, the MLS girl, which I wanted to do a video about that, but we'll put a pin in that. But basically, when a writer is writing a story and someone loves this character and they cast that character as a black person, whether the character was originally black or not, like the Little Mermaid, or if the character was always black, the readers just chose not to acknowledge that, like the way they did with Rue in Hunger Games. So I wanted to work on that, whether it's the perspective of a black person feeling like they have to be a certain look or a certain, you know, complexion to be perceived in a way that they want to be perceived, regardless of race. They just want to be perceived that way. And white people and how they can't love a character if it looks a certain way on some weird shit. So I wanted to like bring those two different forms of media together to get to like this psychological point that I'm trying to get to here. Sometimes, and let's take it out of race. I do this in my videos because race is such a heated conversation. So I like to put the same argument just in a different format so that you can get where I'm coming from, whether you agree or not. So let's put this in a different format. I am a heavy-chested woman. If I wanted to give a more, innocent, Lolita, type of vibe, it would be hard for me to do that because I have bigger breasts. If you happen to be flat-chested or like petite in any way, that aesthetic will be more, it'll look more legit on you, even if that's not necessarily the truth. I know girls that are like Latina and 5 foot and are very nasty women. You can call it spicy if you want, but they're very nasty women. But because they're petite or they have a squeaky voice, people assume they're innocent and feminine when I don't feel that way. And I know black girls who are super tall, maybe a little bit heavier set, maybe a certain complexion, and they're super innocent. She's like I know this one girl, she's like damn near a virgin. She's super soft-spoken. She's really sweet. She's very innocent. She's not like weighed down by the world, but she won't be perceived as feminine because she's not skinny enough for you. She's not light enough for you. Her features aren't keen enough for you, even though she is. So sometimes the way people look, and now again, this is racism and stuff, but at this point, this is what Ashira was trying to say when she said, I'm not telling you not to wear curly hair because it's not beautiful or people won't find it beautiful. But when you wear afro, people see you as a freedom rider. They see you as a member of the Black Panther movement, which is great, but you're going to attract the hoteps, you're going to attract the dusties. If that's not what you want, and this is something that you want to make money and not fall in love, you have to get the look. Now, at some point, this was racism, and white beauty standards that set this stuff into play. But now, in the spiritual realm and in your psychological, space, it's just a brand. When I think old Hollywood, I do think Dorothy Dandridge and Marilyn Monroe. That's just how that you think of those type of hairstyles. And again, the only way, and this is why I love Chrissy's channel when she talks about positive representation and corrective representation, because no matter what your hair looked like or whatever, let's say Tina Turner, she did her hair super crazy and that was like a hot look. So I love Chrissy's channel because it basically talks about, corrective promotion and stuff like that. And the more Black women do that, regardless of what you look like, the quicker we can evade this. But it won't work if you don't have money. And Exoticals United says all the time that this isn't about social justice. This is about flipping the beauty hierarchy. Which, in a way, would it be so bad? Would it be so bad if everybody was considered beautiful? Would it be so bad? And the only way to do that is to do what Chrissy is saying, is to have corrective promotion. So I'm not saying just adhere to someone else's standard because the shared seven tells you to do it. You don't have to do that. But you have to get the money to do that. You have to make the new face of opulence and luxury and, upper classness and upper echelonness. You have to make the new face of that, whatever your face is. Meaning you have to represent yourself, meaning you have to support people that represent you, no matter what you look like, whether you're an exotical or, unambiguous Black woman, it doesn't matter. You have to do that. So it really doesn't matter which way you take, whether you want to put on a wig, get that money, and then take it off and say, yep, this the real me. Most people do that with jobs. I know a lot of girls don't go into work looking all business professional, and then 2 months after they get the job, they be who they really is. Women do that in marriage. They'll look a certain way in marriage, and as soon as they get married, they let it go. So sometimes you gotta put in the work. So if you want to wear a wig or whatever you want to do, bleach your skin, I don't know, and you want to get to that point in your life where you can either play the game and just be a character in the game and just how people do video games, change the way you look and play the game, or you can do what Ashira Seven said. She don't put a perm in her hair. When she takes off her wig, she has her natural hair. And she wears it when she wants to, when she wants that look. But she knows that if she was younger and she was on a prowl and she was looking for a rich husband, she would play into the aesthetic of what that has looked like historically. Is that because of racism? Yes. But at this point, it's really just a look. And the only way to change the look is to put yourself at the hierarchy. That's the only way. And you need money to do that. So regardless of whose side you're on, whose side you're not on, everyone's saying the same thing, which is why I will always say I support all of these channels, So I know this video was kind of all over the place, but I've done multiple videos on these topics separately, and just to bring it all together and see it all line up, it just makes total sense to me. So hopefully that was able to come off to you guys. But yeah, this is definitely how I feel about the situation. And back to the conversation of my little cousin and Michael Jackson, my personal, and you can look up Ashira's videos when it comes to spiritual, meaning this isn't going to make sense in the physical. If you're here for logic and facts, click off the video. This is spiritual connotation. She said something that I found breathtaking. She said that, now, remember when we talked about parasocial relationships and branding when it comes to Beyonce and Rihanna? People like Rihanna because she's more personable and that can appeal to a larger group of people, especially if you want to be validated. But if you just want to get your business handled and you really don't care about knowing what a celebrity have for breakfast or who they sleeping with, chances are you like Beyonce and you're not into the fake shit like me. So, and it really doesn't matter which brand you do because you're going to win regardless. Everybody's looking for something different, and that's what I'm getting onto here. The only way that you could have global appeal, which is what Michael Jackson had, is if you are either fake and you lie so that everybody can like you and you're flippy floppy, or you really do have a global general appeal to people. And I believe that what Beyonce say? I like my Negro nose for Jackson 5 nostril. That's hot. But I don't believe that Michael Jackson would have made it to where he was, And when my little baby cousin said he just wanted to be a normal guy, I thought about that scene in Precious and how Precious was not saying that she wanted to be white. Precious was saying that she wanted to be perceived the way those people are allowed to be perceived. Period. And this is why we need more Black scientists, Black doctors, Black lawyers, because when you look up stock photos of those people, they look a certain way. And you have to put Black in front of it to get someone that looks like you. And the only way to change that is to get the bag. That's what Ashira says. Do what you have to do and play into the game. That's what EU says. Or say, fuck all that, opt out of the game. Do your own corrective promotion. Promote yourself. Like Lupita and what Chrissy's followers do. Either way, you're still playing the game. You're still getting to the same point. Everyone here wants to be loved for who they are, or, be respected for who they are. Not everyone here is looking for love with a man, but just general respect from their sisters, And there's another video I saw where someone basically said that Chrissy's videos aren't about exoticals. And I do agree with that, and I don't. A lot of her videos really were just about keeping track of what MLS women are doing when they happen to be in toxic relationships and stuff like that. But that's not what all her videos were about. And that's not what all EU's videos are about. She has lots of other videos. You guys only just show the ones that, she talks about unambiguous dark-skinned women the same way Chrissy's most popping videos are the ones that talk about exoticals for the most part. And another thing is that I find that when one member of the exotical, maybe a couple members of the exotical community are doing like racist and outlandish shit, it reflects on all of us. But when you look at the Black women empowerment space, I forget what the channel name is called, but you can just look up the word preference and it should pop up. She keeps track of all the quote unquote preferences, whether you're, and I already did a video on the difference between a preference and an exotical, so you can watch that if you don't understand. But she basically keeps tracks on exoticals and preferences that are in really bad relationships and makes fun of them, and, you know, calls Black men kings that got the preference or whatever. So this is something that Black women and people in this space are keeping track of, all the non-racially unambiguous women who get into bad relationships and keeping track of it. And the term exotical tax was a way to humiliate Black men that choose these preferences, that get out of that situation. And I think that's good. If Black men fetishize you and hurt you, you might as well get your money and go. But that's what that term exotical tax was created for. It wasn't like a diss to anybody. It was more a way to say, yeah, if I find myself in a fucked up situation and you're calling me a stupid preference that got the same Black man, the least I can do is get my coins and go. You know what I mean? So I just feel like, I don't know, I was trying to bring all this stuff into perspective. And that conversation I had with my baby cousin really made me feel like, damn, like, that this is more like psychological and spiritual. It's not always physical. I know people like to make things skin deep and, you know, make things just about the physical and who's really light skinned, who's really dark skinned, what do you look like, you're not that pretty, you're not really an exotical. That's fine. But I just wanted to give more of a more cognitive and a more spiritual opinion on how I perceive all of this stuff. So I know that was a handful. I hope it was, you know, partially easy to digest. I know I was all over the place, but I am going to be making more of these type of videos on, I don't know, the spiritual, what's behind, you know, the shadow realm, what's behind the curtain, what's really going on spiritually when it comes to colorism and racism and misogyny and all this other stuff, because it's all connected. So you really can't talk about one without the other. But yeah, if you got to the end of this video, thank you so much and have a beautiful day.